My name is Ofer. I'm one of the co-founders and the CDO of Portnox. My presentation will be about network hygiene and 4 measures that you can stop more than 80% of all known attacks. I know it's a bit cocky thing to say, that I have a key to stop 80% of all known attacks. It's like almost like a joke. I don't know if you know this Chuck Norris jokes, type of jokes that if you know that Chuck Norris can count to infinite twice. So it's kind of, sounds like this kind of a joke, but I hope that at the end of this presentation, you're actually, yeah. At the end of this presentation, I hope really that you'll get some useful tips for your daily usage. So before I go into depth, let's talk about facts a bit. So this is a map from NORSE Security, showing all the attacks taken a week ago or so. All the attacks that are happening right now, there are hundreds of attacks, probably 100,000 of attacks yearly. This is the same view from Kaspersky. They have that in a Google Earth type of view. And basically, we've got a lot of attacks going on every moment. So I can relate to what Mike said, that he's been hacked, because probably most organizations are being hacked or trying to hack. Someone is trying to hack them. But I want to focus on 3 main attacks and connect you through that to how you can better protect them. And the first one is a very famous one. Let's see if anyone can guess which famous attack is that. No one? Really? That was an easy target, yeah. So the target attack, what's interesting about it is the consequences. 2 things are really interesting. One is that the CEO and the CIO were actually forced to resign because of that. And that's very interesting because for a long time, security professionals were saying, you should protect yourself or you can actually lose your job. So it actually happened, yes? The CIO did walk away with a 30-year pension. Well, okay. Okay. But he did get a bad reputation. And at the end of the day, they actually bought, there is a saying you won't get fired for buying IBM. So I'm guessing they actually bought IBM and they got fired. So that's another myth broken at Target. And the second thing which is interesting is it was a criminal act. Okay, some group targeted them. It's not anymore a whiz kid from the 80s or 90s that doing those kind of attacks. But you might see a lot of security professionals saying that they know what happened at Target. Because no one ever been charged at Target, not yet anyway. So no one actually knows what happened there, even not Target themselves. But we do know a few things from the public media, and those are the facts, basically, what happened at Target. So the first fact is that there were stolen HVAC user credentials in the Target attack. That's heating and venting air condition vendor credentials. So they weren't hacking into their air conditioning system. I've heard that theory. They've actually used those credentials to access some kind of invoice system that Target has on the front end, and that system is almost not important. And there is this very big gap between that system, how they could exploit that system, and put the Kartosha malware on the POS, on the cashier, on the point of sales. There's a big gap. How could they get into the network? And no one can actually tell you that. People can guess, give you calculated guesses, but as far as we know, they might even not use those credentials. They might even connect it directly to the Target network using a laptop, finding like an Ethernet jack on the wall, and doing their hack into Target network and putting the malware over there. So the next fact that we know, they scan the memory of those point of sale, send the credit cards into a central server inside their network, and then uploaded all of that information up to the internet using FTP. So those are the facts that we know that happened at Target. We can assume from Visa a few other things as well. So Visa actually posted 2 months after Target, they've posted recommendations what you should do in order to avoid such cases. They didn't say Kartosha, but they said targeted by memory parsing malware. So they issued an update, and the first part of the update is, and we can assume that this is the most important part of defending your network, is network security. So basically they're saying, you know, you should segment your network, you should work on your firewall, have better rules in your firewall, and you should put ACLs between segments. You should know where is your point of sale connected. Only those point of sale should connect to over there, and if anything other than point of sale, you should be aware of, and then protect it accordingly. Second page of recommendations, again, I'll focus on the first one, which is limiting administrative access. So we can assume that in the target attacks, some kind of leveraging of administrative access was used. So the some kind got a hold of an administrative account to get into their network. That's for the target attack. Who knows who saw this message on a very miserable Monday when they came to the office? Nice one. So yeah, that's a hint. And yeah, on the 24th of November, so all Sony employees saw that miserable message on their computers. Demanding, you know, something. They didn't know even what it was. We've got your data, and you should obey us. They never got any commands to obey to, but on the fourth day, November 27th, 5 films which were not public yet were uploaded into some hub, sharing hub, in the internet. A day later, Sony accused North Korea. FBI joined that accusation later on, and during December we saw bonuses, we saw emails, medical documents, threats on Sony employees, really a lot of mess. And during that time, by the way, Sony, the whole IT was down. They were using pens and papers during that time. They didn't even have an email for a couple of weeks. And then they released the movie, which was a very brave step from their side. And again, this hack is interesting not only because the consequences, because that's one of the most, or the first one which was very publicized, that a government is actually attacking a company. You know, it might be your company to be targeted next, and it was very publicized by the news. But it might not be the company, actually. There is another side of the story. People actually, some people believe that it was an ex-employee that actually got all of that information. The reason for that is that Sony actually decided to fire a few employees a couple of months before the attack, and those employees had administrative access in their network. And the theory says that they, for example, uploaded to their computer, personal computer, or to their personal hard drive those movies, later on shared with hackers, and then it found a way into the internet. So that's the theory. And again, you can't really know what happened there, if it was North Korea or was it just an ex-employee. So really, yet a second famous attack. And that's the third famous attack that I want to talk with you about. Who knows which attack was that? That was really recent, discovered by FireEye. So in Syria, there was the Syrian, and then there were the rebels, and they're fighting. FireEye discovered that those rebels are humans, they are men, most of them probably, and when they see a chat from a nice-looking lady, they kind of chat with her. And when she sent them a picture, then those rebels are actually opening that picture, and they got infected by a malware. By the way, every time I say the word rebel, I get this music in my head. I don't know if you have the same thing. Don't know if you can hear that. Well, here it goes. No, I can't hear that, huh? So that's the music I'm getting in my head when I'm saying rebels. But at the end of the day, they were leveraging the administrative access on their computer, installing that malware, sending all of those files from their computer into a central server in Lebanon. And over there, Firewall found this server, and there were tons of information there: battle plans, forces locations, and probably the Syrian government used that in their war. What's interesting here, again, it's not just the simple way to get a malware on your computer. It's also the fact that hacking in this case was used actually to kill people. So it's not stealing money, it's not hurting your reputation, it's actually to kill people. So they used this tool of hacking. Some more facts. How much attacks cost us. So according to a study from IBM, last year it cost on average almost $6 million per an incident for large organizations to handle those incidents. That was a study from IBM from this year, from 2014. PwC actually support that with almost $6 million for large organizations and $400,000 for smaller ones. They actually proved here another point that the bigger you are, the harder you fall. And that's basically about the fact. So next time your management, by the way, say you don't have enough money for a security tool, just show them how much it costs a security breach. Now to the theory. So we've got today so many things. We saw today the type of hacks. We saw cyber ransom. We saw there are denial of service, distributed denial of service, worms, trojans, viruses, malwares, phishing attacks, SQL injections, cross-site scripting, so many attacks. And really, the upcoming question is, can we really win this war? It seems like the bad guys have this unfair advantage over us, the good guy. And I think we can, and we should definitely try. And my key to that is an all Chinese. Why is all Chinese? His name is Sun Tzu, which was very good at wars. So he wrote a book about that, which was a bestseller a couple of thousand years ago still. And Sun Tzu wrote, and I'll quote that for you: "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle." So that was an ancient wisdom, and I'll relate that into the 21st century. And these are the 4 measures. That's the title of my presentation. These are the 4 measures. I didn't invent them, by the way. This was by Jim Lewis from the Center of Strategic and International Studies. He identified those 4 measures. A lot of security professionals actually agree with him regarding those 4 measures, which basically say you need to do hardware inventory, you need to know what you have, software inventory, limit your administrative permissions, and automate your network monitoring. If you implement those 4 measures, you'll be protected against most attacks. And I want to relate that into what Sun Tzu wisdom is saying. And the first thing that I want to focus on is know yourself, know your network. The first thing that hackers do when they hack into a network is basically probe your network. You can and you should know your network better than them in order to defend. And that's the first wise thing. The second thing is know your network, know yourself. Know what type of endpoints you have in your network. What is your network consisted of? Who connects from where? Know if you have VPN connections. How many endpoints? What type of endpoints? Where are they located? What they are running? And all of that information you really need to know in real time because it's always changing. So you need to know what's going on in your network. Know the enemy. Know that 80% of all vulnerabilities cannot be used if the local user is not running as administrator on his machine. So just by forcing that local users are not running as an administrator, you're there protected against most vulnerabilities, even without deploying the relevant patch. And of course, automating the network response, automating the response in order to react to threats immediately, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So really, it's not anymore manual work. You need something that can make that automation into work. You've got a threat. You need not just to get an alert. You need to handle the alert. You need to quarantine that breach device. You need to have an action done automatically for that. And now a bit to practice. So this is a few useful advices. And the first advice is a point of CISO. According to that IBM study, if you have a CISO, if you have an incident, it will cost you less. Second advice is have a security posture. Basically, if you have a security posture again, according to that study, you'll be better. Every incident will cost you less. And if you don't have a plan, then a good place to start is the SUN 20 critical security controls, where you get basically a plan for you to implement in your network and implement the first four, at least the first four. That could bring you into a good state in your network security or security overall in your enterprise. And the second part is tools. And when I talk about tools, you know, the first thing I think of is Handy Manny. My daughter actually loves him, sometimes more than me, I feel. And if you take tools from Handy Manny, he's just, you know, he's just Manny, right? So every security professional, every CISO need his tools. And the tool that I want to talk with you about for a moment is Portnox. But for that matter, you can choose whatever tool you want that gives you that functionality. And the tool you choose should be obsessed with accuracy. You should know in real time what you have in your network, bottom up. From the network port, from the access point, the specific access point, from the to know exactly at real time how many devices you have in your network, where they are connected from, how many access points you have, how many wireless switches you have, and virtual switches. You should be able to know for each endpoint in which VLAN it is connected to, what was the last user and current user which is logged on onto that machine. You should know what the OS that machine is running up to the patch level. You should also know what you can't manage, the things that you don't know where they are connected. So you should know that you have those in your network, machines that you can't really control. And the first step into controlling them is knowing that you can't control them currently. This is an example of a report that we give showing the exact number of endpoints and where they are connected. And from security posture, so you want really to have a tool that can check that you actually deployed and have this anti-malware, this new fashion technology, really nice technology, is installed on all of your machines. Because I can assure you that the one machine that does have that anti-malware, that new anti-malware on it, that's the one machine those hackers will get into into your network using that spearhead or any other phishing attempt. Of course, you should also know which type of non-enterprise devices you have in your network and be able to control if they can access the network or not, through which SSID, and have a policy saying that those non-managed devices can connect to your network, but only to a certain SSID, and only if their security posture, like they're not jailbroken, is according to your standards. Know your admins. If you have and deploy, and I really recommend that you don't have local administrator privileges on your machine, which is very hard to have that kind of policy, but you need a method to actually measure that policy and verify that this is really the case, that those users don't have local administrator on their machines. So you should have a tool that can actually check that and verify that they don't have local administrative rights. And the last part, I think, in my presentation is basically automating your response. So this is just an example of a cooperation we're having with Checkpoint in this case. Basically, their anti-bot is sending an alert to us because they know that a specific device is breached and is now communicating with a known command center over there in the internet. So they send the alert to us, and we quarantine that device automatically because we can connect to those network layers, to those switches, to those wireless controllers, virtual systems, and we control them, and we can by that, quarantine or totally block a breach device. So that was it. I hope it wasn't too long. If you have any questions, I don't know if we have time. Yeah.
Can you tell me how you switch OS for devices that are not on your network, that are connecting remotely?
So we have a model that actually monitors your VPN as well. So for example, everything that comes through the VPN, we can monitor and see. This is one part of the solution. We do that basically using almost any VPN. We can do that using Radius as well. And another part of the solution is we have an agent-based solution to monitor your handheld device, which is giving you some kind of risk calculations regarding them, and you can see in a timeline fashion, where they've been and what's the risk associated with them. So once you deploy that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let's.